AITAH for telling my father I don't really care about my half-brother. I'm a 30F, and my dad, 62M, has a child, 3M, with a woman who's only 5 to 6 years older than me, 35-36F. My parents divorced 13 years ago, so I don't care about him dating or marrying someone else, or even having more kids. That's his life. Of course, I thought having a child at 59 was pretty irresponsible, but it's already done. The child is here, and none of this is his fault. It's now up to my dad to figure things with him out, including his complicated relationship with the child's mother. The issue is that my dad keeps sending me photos of the child, constantly referring to him as your brother. I mostly ignore it because I don't want to fight with him over this, but honestly, it bothers me. I have no emotional connection to this child, no sense of responsibility toward him. I don't really care about seeing him, and when my dad says your brother, it honestly makes me cringe a lot. Recently, my dad sent me more photos of the child, and I responded with something generic like, "Wow, that's one big child." My father didn't bring it up at the time, but during our next phone call, he asked me why I didn't show any interest in my brother. I calmly explained that I don't feel any sisterly connection to him because I have never seen him, I live in a different country, and also partially due to the fact that, given the age gap, he could just as easily be my own child. I don't have any children of my own. That didn't go over well. My dad had a meltdown, saying that I was being disrespectful, denying blood relations, and refusing to accept the child as my brother. He then told me I can't say things like that and abruptly hung up on me. AITAH for being honest about not being interested in the life of my father's child. Edit, since many people are asking, I'm not estranged with my father. I've been living abroad for the past 9 years, so we don't exactly update each other on every single detail of our daily lives. But we do have a decent relationship. I have another full sibling, 26F, but we are not close and we haven't talked for almost a year. My father maintains a relationship with her since they've continued to live in the same town. AITAH for telling my parents nobody wants to hear about the daughter they gave up for adoption in front of my boyfriend's parents. My parents had a kid before me, 17M, and they gave her up for adoption because they were young, my age. They had an open adoption with her and saw her sometimes, and when I was born they really pushed this idea that we were one family and she would live with us again, and she adored me. But the memories I have of her are way different. She stuck to her adoptive family and only claimed her adoptive sibling as siblings. She used to tell me she didn't want me to call her my sister, and she'd correct me if I called my parents our parents. She'd tell me her parents were the people raising her. It confused me because my parents would say something different, and I used to get a little anxious about seeing her because I felt like she didn't like me, and my parents said I was wrong, so it was confusing. It was 10 years ago that we last saw her. I forget if she was 16 or 17 by then, but she told her parents she didn't want contact anymore, and they told my parents the visits were going to end. My parents never got over it, and it hurt our relationship. They kept filling me with lies about her coming to live with us and loving us and how she was still ours and she'd be back in our lives soon. They'd tell me I was wrong when I'd bring up how she didn't like seeing her and how she didn't like me. Even when we no longer saw her, they'd say I was wrong. I feel like my parents fucked me up with that stuff when I was younger. And the thing is, they feel like our life should be focused around the child they gave up and the relationship we'll all have someday. I gave up asking why she didn't get in touch yet. She's got to be 27 now, and we still heard nothing from her. They don't want to accept it, and they hate when people think I'm an only child and I don't correct it. They told me I need to always talk about my sister, and I should be doing everything to let her know I love and miss her. I'm with my boyfriend, 17M, now, and he's great. His family is amazing too. They know I struggle with my parents. So his parents suggested inviting mine for dinner to see if they could maybe encourage my parents to focus on the kid they have instead of the one they don't have. But my parents talked all the time about the daughter they gave up, and they kept saying how I couldn't get married until she's back and telling my boyfriend he should get ready to have a SIL if we stay together. My boyfriend's parents would try to change the subject, and my parents kept the topic of their daughter going. The breaking point for dinner was when they asked my boyfriend's parents about their daughter, and my boyfriend's parents didn't know the answer. I don't talk about her much. My parents told me if I'm serious about my boyfriend, they should know everything about their daughter so we can all be a family in the future, and they told me they were ashamed of me keeping her a secret and how I need to talk about her more. I told them nobody wants to hear about her. They're the only people who want to make sure everyone knows about her and gets personal info on everything. I said people really don't care and they need to stop making it such a big deal. I told them I don't have to make their daughter my whole personality. My boyfriend's mom tried to point out that they're pushing me away and they should be enjoying having me, but my parents only cared that I said their daughter shouldn't be talked about all the time. They were furious. We argued and I ended up staying at my boyfriend's house for a couple of nights, but then my parents made me go home and they said I had no business taking to them like that in front of others. AITAH for not letting my stepson move back in after he pranked me. My wife, Karen, 45F, and I, 48M, have been married for 5 years. She has a son, Dylan, 22M, from a previous relationship. Dylan and I have always had a decent relationship, nothing super close, but I treated him like my own and helped support him through college. Dylan recently graduated and moved back in with us temporarily while he looked for a job. Things were fine for a while, but he started hanging out with some friends who he said were into pranks. A couple of weeks ago, while Karen was out of town visiting her sister, Dylan decided it would be funny to prank me by wrapping all of my work supplies, computer, files, even my chair, in duct tape. I work from home, and this was the morning of a big presentation I had spent weeks preparing. I lost it. The tape was impossible to remove without ruining some of my files, and I had to scramble to piece together my presentation. When I confronted Dylan, he laughed and said, "It's just a joke, chill out." I told him that this wasn't funny and that his lack of respect for my work was unacceptable. He brushed me off and acted like I was overreacting. When Karen got back, I told her what happened and said that I couldn't live with someone who didn't respect me or my home. I told Dylan he needed to move out. He packed up and went to stay with a friend. But now Karen is furious with me. She says I'm being too harsh and that Dylan is just a kid who made a dumb mistake. Dylan has since apologized, but I told him he needs to learn that actions have consequences. Karen thinks I'm being petty and putting my pride above family, but I feel like this is about respect. AITAH for not letting Dylan move back in? My ex came back after marrying and things got messy. So, I, 25F, was in a relationship with my ex, 29M, for 5 years. Everything was great until his parents came to visit him. For context, we are from different ethnicity and he's from a pretty traditional family. After they left, everything changed. I went to see him after they left, and suddenly he was acting like I wasn't supportive enough, bringing up old issues that we had forgiven each other for. They weren't huge things, just little stuff that didn't even matter anymore, but he kept bringing them up like they were. Long story short, we broke up. Fast forward 6 months, and I found out he's married now, like he married 3 weeks ago, and I learned that it was an arranged marriage set up by his parents. He dumped me for it, like it was that simple. I unfollowed him on everything and tried to move on. He lives in a different state now, but it's not far from where I am. Then, last week, everything blew up. I was just chilling at home when I heard a knock on the door. I open it, and it's him. I was honestly shocked. After everything, he was standing in front of me. I still loved him, but he dumped me, gaslit me about the breakup, and now he's married? He starts talking about how his parents pressured him into this marriage, how he didn't want it, and how everything was a mistake. I told him, he's married now. Like, what's the point of this? He kept pushing for closure and even tried to kiss me, asking if there was any chance we could get back together. All these were idea of his parents, and he didn't want any of these. How he missed me, blah blah. I said no chance in hell. He tried again, and I slapped him. I really didn't know what else to do in that moment. Luckily, my roommate heard the noise and came in to help get him out of the house. He left, but it's been a week now, and I can't stop thinking about it. I'm feeling guilty about slapping him, but I was so mad and hurt. I feel bad for his wife too. She's still in school back home while he's here, and I'm just disgusted by how he's treating her. He's been texting me, trying to talk, and I'm honestly scared he might show up again. Should I tell his wife everything? What do I even do? If I were in his wife's position, I'd want to know the truth. I'm considering telling him that if he shows up again, I'll let her know everything, threaten, because I am thinking about my safety too. Don't know what could happen to me. Maybe that would make him stop, but I'm not sure if it's the right solution. I'm really lost and need men's perspective on this. Edit 1. I saw a lot of comments about confusion, so I wanted to clarify. My ex is from Nepal, and the girl he married is also from Nepal and the same caste. I'm from Latvia. We both live in the US, but my ex went to Nepal to marry her. After the wedding, he came back to the US while his wife stayed in Nepal since she's still in school. This incident happened after he returned to the US. Edit 2. He isn't an only child, he has an older brother. If I remember correctly, he's 35. His brother married the woman he loved, even though it was difficult for their families to accept at first because she's from a different caste. But his brother stood up for their relationship, and now they even have a child together. Hearing these stories, my ex made me believe we could have a future together too. I loved him so much and truly believed in us, until a few months ago when everything started falling apart. Teenager wanted adult freedoms and is now dealing with adult consequences. I am the father of a teenage daughter. Ever since she was 13, she has constantly lied, refused to follow our household rules, no electronics in rooms, 9 p.m. bedtime, no fighting, bickering or petty backstabbing with siblings, etc. Complete your chores daily, sweep kitchen and clean up after family dog, etc. I do not feel we are super strict, but I also refuse to give ground on these areas. In exchange, she has the newest iPhone, tablet and laptop, is able to participate in a sport that costs me a couple $1,000 a year and has pocket money every time she needs it. Recently things have come to a head. She has been outright defiant and disrespectful, completely ignoring her mom, rolling her eyes when she is asked to do things and using feigned ignorance as a weapon. She has been caught multiple times up at 2 a.m. using her electronics, etc. I sat her down a little over a week ago. Her reasons are a repeat of what she has said for years. She does not feel a 9 p.m., 10 p.m., weekdays/weekends is appropriate for her age, 15. She does not feel that she should have to do chores as her grades and workload should exempt her. All as AP student, even though she acknowledges that she has maybe 15 minutes worth of chores a day. So I decided to give her what she asked for. I let her know that we would not remind her to do her chores, homework, laundry, etc. We would not send her to bed or enforce a bedtime most nights, nor would we stop her from using her electronics in her room, even if it is bad for her sleep habits. But in exchange, if she did not do her chores, follow the rules, or etc., she would need to deal with the consequences as an adult. Example I gave her was, if she chose to not follow the rules and not do her chores, she would be expected to get a job and pay rent, bills, etc. Her rent money would be kept in a separate account and invested in bonds set to mature while she is in college and given to her. She does not know this. She agreed. We are now a week later and her sleep habits have gone to hell. Last night she stayed up past midnight and this morning slept through her alarm. She called me this morning and begged me to come and give her a ride. I let her know that I will not leave work and put myself behind for the day to backstop her poor decisions. She would need to wait for me to come home no lunch to give her a ride. She is very upset because this will place her behind in most of her classes and she will need to get her choir teacher to allow her makeup work as she will miss an important rehearsal for a performance and risk a 30% reduction in grade. AITAH tried to perform witchcraft and got into deep sh*t. I tried to perform witchcraft and now I regret it. So hey, basically, I'm desperate, felt cursed, found someone who reached out to me and asked me if I needed a reading. Well, she did my reading, told me that someone has cursed me when I was a child and all that. I believed it since I feel like I'm unlucky and things go bad always for me. Anyway, she wanted me to pay her $150. I told her that I can make 2 payments as I really can't afford that at once. She agreed. She tells me about a girl who owes her $2,000 and wanted me to reach out to the girl and speak to her on paying her back. Wanted me to be friends with her and shit. I told her no. She sends me a picture of a dead man. He looks like a sleep paralysis demon. Dead. She apparently put a spell on him for not paying her $4,000. And that's when I started to get scared. I didn't have much money. I had like $200. I paid her $70. Told her I'll soon make the next payment. She tells me to wear red, sleep with a knife under my pillow and pour salt into my hand, pray and then put it in water and drink it. At this point I felt like she was a scammer. An account that she herself texted me from said that she has no other accounts. People are impersonating her. The only account has 200K followers and she would never reach out to people for readings. I asked the lady and she told me that her account was hacked and that's why she made a new one and everything. So I had my doubts but went ahead since I already paid her. She then performs a ritual and then tells me after a few hours that the ritual went bad. She needs to do it again ASAP. I said I can't pay her more. That's enough. She tells me to send her a picture of my left hand. I did. Wanted my address to send me a protection bead. I didn't respond. The end of it all. She told me to go to my bathroom, get naked and send her a video of me naked, to perform a ritual. I bid my farewell. I told her she'll get her money soon and there's no way anything else is happening. Desperate people find dumb measures. Anyway, lesson learned. Hopefully she doesn't curse me. I'm already in enough shit. I don't even know what's happening at the moment. Just needed to leave a digital footprint.